Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the rank 1 Protoss in the world. Not the one we deserve, but the one we need right now. In the blue, a hero. Facing off against one of his greatest rivals in 15 years of StarCraft 2 history. In the red, the Terran, it's Micro Jackson. ByuN. In a best of 5 Protoss versus Terran showdown as part of the $10,000 LiuLi Cup. And before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button or maybe even subscribe. Help me count the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? Jimmy. 1,802 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better, as both players diligently scouring around their own bases, as neither of them has been known to be a passive early game player in the past. Let's put it that way. In fact, ByuN making his name and continually rewriting it off these early Reapers, though less so against Protoss. Hero with a remarkably conservative build to start. That's a Twilight. He just puts the Twilight Council in what we'll generously call a wall. The Reaper Hellion making its way up, and will he respect Hero's efforts? That's funny. And just guns down the probe, throws a grenade, and waltzes right by. There, he will get in. There will be no getting out. It's just how much he can take with him. That's going to be 3 probes in total. And, well, I mean, the scouting mission, I think, a little in vain, as the Twilight Council was just part of the wall-in, and it's almost implied in this matchup nowadays, though Hero will explore other trajectories occasionally. Meanwhile, back at home, ByuN with the 1-1-1, the barracks, the factory, the starport, the Destiny Cloudfist build. It triggers in my brain, but Cyclone is on the way and going to do what he can to ward off the Stalkers as they sneak their way across, sacrificing the Reaper Hellion, which, let's be honest, had kind of an expiration date, as on the open field, they're almost entirely useless. So the ability to get some damage done pretty much passed at that time. Now, the Cyclone, Hero's going forward. Blink is still a long way off. The Cyclone locks on. The Stalker tries to stumble away. The Cyclone has more than enough range. That's kind of its whole thing. And Dancing uses the medevac high ground, but breaks the lock before it comes into range. And, well, Hero staying aggressive despite the existential threat of the Cyclone, the Marines, and now a siege tank. He's never been one to give up a position that he either imagined or has willed himself into, for better or worse, and sometimes both. But ByuN clearly not anticipating Hero to be here. He will try to seize the opportunity. A tank being juggled in and out of the medevac, which is quite a thing to see. And the Stalker's still about 15 seconds off Blink. Locks on to another. Hero's gonna lose half of his Stalkers, and one of them is badly bruised and will not be repaired, unlike all those Terran units. But wait! The chase is on. He's going for the second Stalker, it looks like. Blink is done. No one can hide. But can they run? Well, it's more like teleporting and dropping, but wait. Hero! Vengeance! The Stalkers are stalking another volley. Is it enough? One more hit would have knocked it out of the sky. A dangerous game. The medevac doesn't get the shot and tries to console himself with a few kills on the Marines, but ByuN barely escapes the Stalkers living up to their name. Gets away with the medevac, the Cyclone, and puts his siege tanks in a safe enough position. Meanwhile, a Cloak Banshee is already completed and making its way across the map nearly to the main. Scouts out the siege tank in the most painful way possible. Main base. Robo's done, I believe, yes, but an observer just started, which means the probes will be paying the price. Stalker at the front. Couple Marines rallied out. I seriously doubt that was for scouting. Already a brutal back and forth game as these two slap at each other across the face with every early game unit possible. And I think that will continue as long as they're capable. Meanwhile, the Banshee gonna go sit in the corner while the Stalkers will angrily think at it. Because, of course, they don't have mouths, but what are those bandanas even covering? I don't... Meanwhile, another Banshee at the natural, and ByuN not so suddenly taking the worker lead, but here we are, 2 Zealots bravely dropping out of the prism. Cyclone locks onto it. Hero's like, how about going down with the ship? Uses a scan Yeah, recall them! The Zealots are just gonna hang out. Okay. Alright, the Zealots are still there. Just, Terran vision is based on movement. You lied! Mayday, mayday. We're never sure if Terrans have object permanence, but ByuN demonstrating it there. And his understanding pretty strong so far of what Hero's gonna do. The observers are chasing down. Ah, I heard you like cloaking, so I brought the cloaks for your cloak. That wasn't funnier in my head. Medevac loads up 8 Marines and headed out. 2 observers chasing down the cloak. Banshee may have let ByuN know that there's probably not an observer on his side of the map, but would he actually care? It's a more relevant question. Hero, things slowed down by necessity. The Blink Stalkers aren't going to be able to get damage done, but if ByuN sticks his neck outside, the Stalkers may blink in and try to chop it off. So, we're limited to poking and prodding with the Stalkers and the Medevacs looking for an angle. So far, Hero just happens by it. The Zealots will eviscerate the Marines as they drop out. Blink Stalkers in the main base, takes out the Cyclone. He finally got his revenge in the earlier the mid-game, but the Medevac's just kind of wandering by. Hero's gonna pick off not 1, but 2 of them. And another Medevac is boosting its way back home, and that's what ByuN gets. He stuck a toe outside, and Hero just chopped off an arm. We'll see if he goes out on a limb again. Meanwhile, well, Hero doesn't have much of a supply lead, partially because of how Warp Gate works, and partially because it has cost him units on every front. He's lost 6 Stalkers, he's lost a Prism, he's picked off a smorgasbord of Terran units. Pretty much every early game option. A few Zealots here, not nearly enough. Storm isn't done! No, Hero! Oh! Oh! He dropped him out for the ultimate blue spell. Oh, he thought he was so ready to drop the storms all over him. But instead, now he's ready to eat a Widow Mine across the Warp Prism. Oh, that was embarrassing. Premature exsanguination there. The stims panicked out of ByuN, but the problem was not nearly as great as he assumed it was, and there are already ghosts in production chasing things down, wading through the storms. And if you've been living under a rock or a peaceful place, which you know it might be for the last like 5 or 6 months now, there was a patch. Yes, the intern, not the balance console, but the intern gave us a patch. Storm is now 50% longer. It's about 30% wider. But the DPS is about 30% less, so it does more damage overall, but less per second, making the Medevacs quite helpful and giving you more time to react, though still being dangerous if you're stuck in a entrenched position. Unfortunately, the Bio Ball clearly able to split easily against it. A few Marines and Marauders will take the brunt of it. The Templar being juggled in, but so far, superficial damage. ByuN maintains his supply, and overall, Hero destroyed 8 Marines and 3 Marauders and a Widow Mine. ByuN, honestly, for how dramatic that fight was, not much died. Just a lot of angry words and dramatic spells, but the entire army stimming, some EMPs coming out, storms washing over everything. But the actual units lost, relatively minimal. Hero just now finishing up his +1/1 upgrades. ByuN, a few seconds ahead of him. Extended Thermal Lance has begun, and I'm a bit ahead of it. So, second starport is on the way. 3 more racks for ByuN. The weapons of mass production that Terran can bring to the table cannot be underestimated. We're going to the later game. Now we see which flavor of late-game Protoss Hero decides to partake in. I already have my suspicions. There is the battering ram, the endless charge lots, the 8 Nexus, the 16 gates, 2, 3, 4 robos, and eventually trying to just grind down the Terran army, which will be more cost-effective. Marines, Marauders, Ghosts, Planetary Fortresses, all the makings of a Turtle Terran that Bronze League heroes would be proud of if they could interpret basic human feeling. Then, of course, there's the more highbrow Protoss, and I'm being quite literal. The Sky Toss, with Tempests and Carriers, and using Templar to zone out. Mothership. The only thing I think Hero may partake in is a Mothership, and possibly a few Tempests, if ByuN forces the issue with Liberators. So far, he hasn't, but he's got a Fusion Core halfway done. Advanced ballistics are an existential threat, especially on this map with that nasty Liberator position behind the base on either side. So, here we are, and here we go. Hero has slowed things down. He's only lost 1,000 more resources, and honestly, so far, neither side with big losses or big wins. ByuN has not been forced to slow down his expansion pattern at all, and Hero hasn't lost much of his technological complexity. Arguing it was there in the first place. He's got triple forge upgrades. He's got... Is he walled in? What am I watching? What's happening here, Hero? Hero has the other guys in the main base. He's got 4 or 5 High Templar, 2 Colossi. There's also this fight happening. Hero! How does this happen? Are they Oh my! Oh, sweet Tassadar. He recalled these at some point, I think. And they got walled in by his buildings? No? What was going on? When 2 Templar love each other very much, then an Archon happens. They also don't need to love each other. It's really not required at all. So about half of Hero's army was bottled up in his main. And while Storms are a great historical and practical counter to Vikings, the Vikings are knocking down the Colossi before the Storms even finish out their duration. He's just weathering them. He can go back and repair. Autumn colors across the board for ByuN's army as he's adding more command centers on. Meanwhile, Hero, only 5 Nexi so far. 11 gateways, 3 robos, the triple forge. Spinning up yet again. And, well... It seems we will be going to that bean counter phase. We try to figure out exactly how many bases each side is able to take and how many you're able to take from them. Hero, I don't think expecting to find much success. He keeps so much of his army. His rally points are a bit awkward, to say the least. But, it is a Hero game. So far, and ByuN's building that. He's only now adding on Liberators. He's getting Caduceus Reactor for 5 orbital commands! 5 at a time, not total. Adding on to the 3 he currently has. He's currently building 5 more. Maru has lit the way with scans across the entirety of the map, showing that indeed the mass command center late game style is not a fad, but instead a pragmatic economic option, or a PU. Jimmy, edit that out. We're gonna workshop that. We'll circle back. Advanced ballistics on the way, and Hero just containing such as he can. Another planetary for ByuN. He's not gonna be stingy. Planetary's only 150 more. So, I mean, it is a... Planetaries are a little expensive. They cost the command center, but they don't cost supply. Between orbital commands, planetary fortresses, missile turrets, and the relatively low supply cost of pretty much the entire Terran army, the amount of firepower they can bring to bear in specific locations, especially if you include EMP, is, some might argue, absurd. And the Terrans would go blue in the face before admitting to it. But speaking of blue faces, only a few Archons and a whole bunch of Stalkers, and Hero just adding more Nexi across the map. Almost every single base outside of the ones ByuN currently has been taken by a Nexus. But there is a limit to how much you can mine based on your probes. Like, Hero's at 84 probes, and if he goes any higher, he's gonna have a serious problem. As his army supply will simply not be big enough. Size incredibly matters, especially when it comes to Terran versus Protoss. You need to have enough to overwhelm the smaller armies of Terran. All right, they rely on the cost efficiency of ranged liberators, of Vikings, of ghosts. They'll probably commit 50, 60 supply to defense and send everything else out to kill your bases. Oh, it's the spot. It's the spot. So this spot on the map, especially with range, it technically doesn't even need it. I'm not sure, though. Some Archons will be merged very unhappily and now be merged into the unit's lost tab. So this Liberator just simply cannot be hit by the ground. There is no ground unit. Pretty sure that's true before Advanced Ballistics is done. With Advanced Ballistics, there are several spots on most maps where it is just geographically impossible for ground units to have the anti-air capability. He's re-sieging the Liberator. A single Stargate now from Hero as he acknowledges the terrestrial implications. The multi-planetary siege tanks, siege liberators, EMPs, Hero trying to navigate through this campaign mission city of command centers and siege tanks here. ByuN now getting building armor. He's got high-sec auto-tracking. He's got EMPs for pretty much every High Templar. The ranged liberators are annexing. All it takes is one mineral patch to effectively deny a base. More planetaries? How many planetaries? I saw a comment the other day, I think with a Maru game. So it said, why don't Terrans just build mass planetaries in the late game? And of course, everyone scoffed and said, that would be ridiculous. They're too expensive. Well, then this is quite be unbelievable here. A fourth planet. He's building two at a time. He's just building them down the center. And again, why not? Orbital commands are 100. It's 150 extra gas, which they can be pretty easily taken out, but I'm hard-pressed to see a Protoss army of less than 150 doing so. Meanwhile, the planetary really showed its range there. I believe it outranges a Stalker slightly with a high-sec auto-tracking. Now a fleet beacon is on the way for Hero, starting to acknowledge that the Liberators are more than a thorn in his side, but instead a thorn in his eye. If it rhymes, it's more profound, all right? Please clap. Yeah, Hero seemingly flailing around somewhat. This is exactly the scenario I was speaking on, though. With 50, 60 supply back at home to defend, and another 50, 60 supply swanging around the map. It doesn't take much to take out a Nexus. A mothership is on the way. Finally, a single Phoenix takes out the Liberator. Hero really needs to think about taking out the rocks down the center. More planetaries! 2 more planetaries! You were right, YouTube commenters. All right, don't let anyone tell you you're ever wrong. You were right that, well, is it worth it? We're gonna find out. ByuN still has plenty in the bank. He has 8 going on 9 planetary fortresses. There are 5 on the screen. There's 3 more here. Another one. Can I get 10? Can I get 10? That would be thumbnail worthy. Unless he does something more ridiculous, like a nuke. Or multiple nukes. ByuN, answer my prayer. Hero, on the other hand, is, well, Hero has less in the bank. He's lost, wow, 28,000 to 14,000 resources, which does not bode well for the long or short-term economic projections. But he still does have access to more bases. A couple SCVs will keep those planetaries together. Liberators, oh no, the EMP! All of the Templar congregating. ByuN is looking be unstoppable right now. Nuclear missile is in production. The only one Ghost Academy, so not leaning into the mass nuke style, but even one. If it causes any sort of... No cancel from Hero on the Nexus, which is a small thing, but All those small things are starting to add up. 9 orbital commands, 9 planetary fortresses, and 2 more command centers in production. Well. Can I get 17 more EMPs? With 12 ghosts, it's possible. A mothership? Well, takes out 1 planetary fortress. The Vikings gliding through the time warp, there's not much anti-air. The small hit squad from ByuN. Mothership survives just barely. Hero takes out the planetary. Immediately 2 command centers are rebuilt. And ByuN just tearing through everything. Is there enough? The ghosts are pretty much the anti-air, but ByuN just ignores the store. Gonna depower the robos, some more warpins. Hero's coming back to defend. But any semblance, any imagination, any hallucination of map control that he might have had, I think has evaporated with all of the bases on the Western Front, where it's all quiet now. They'll be unconfirming that with scans across the bow. The Liberator in the top right corner. I don't even know if, well, if he scans, he gets vision, because the Liberators don't quite have the vision. That was the nerf to the Liberators. They don't have vision on their own, but thankfully, orbital commands are pretty omnipotent. Here come the Liberators. The Tempests will besiege them, but the Vikings are also quite an answer. Thing is, the Vikings deal with the Tempest just fine. The scouting factory will be taken out. 7 Vikings simultaneously. The Scandinavian composition. +3 mech armor. Hero has 333, including +3 shields, but no weapon upgrades for the Tempest, which is actually quite a big deal. Just +1, I believe, reduces the amount of Tempest shots needed to kill Vikings from full HP by 1. Of course, it adds up over time. He's got 3 Tempests. He's building cannons, but Hero is out of gas. Not metaphorically, literally. He's got 50 gas in the bank, which is not a bank. That's not even a piggy bank. I don't know. You couldn't drive a golf cart on that much gas. And right now, it's looking subpar for Hero as he carves away another planetary fortress, but the Colossi, the Archons, and the Stalkers in range, as another small battle group of ByuN is able to... Where did you even recall to? Oh, the level! Okay. Doesn't quite take out the medevacs. And, hey, can I park here? Hey, guys? Somebody's in my spot. Is it them Protoss again? What? Why are you taking so... I'm just checking. How do you not know? Yeah. You could have just... Sorry, Sarge. 24 Vikings. He's got 11 Liberators. There's a nuclear missile in the tank. On the Academy right now, but another Liberator in the top right corner. Hero. Can't help but feel like any motivation. Hero, I don't know if he had a plan at any point, but he's certainly running out of ideas, as ByuN has at no point really been forced off of his expansion. He hasn't gotten greedy. He's taken pretty much one base at a time. Every few minutes up through the 20-minute mark. He's lost almost... Hero's lost almost twice as many resources. The obscene cost effectiveness and the lack of coherent almost anything out of Hero. I'm not sure if he can flail his way out of this one. The Forrest Gumpian skull of Protoss, who don't late game good. there's a mothership. Mothership harass over on the right side, threatening a potential mass recall. Actually killing a lot of SCVs. The mothership, the most damaging attack on its own from Hero over the last few minutes. Multiple liberators forming a Venn diagram of freedom and harassing every worker in the county. And oh my. A fusillade of Viking missiles completely annihilates the mothership with extreme prejudice, which is something that Terrans do better than any other. Hero, there's still 8 planetary fortresses. There's still plenty of liberators. The storms are a setback at best. The liberators have constantly, and it's not like Hero can really remake probes. He is anyways. This is still happening. It was quite a long time to get to his ticket over here, but now it'll be taken care of. Ghost, not the one thing they aren't so great at. Oh my. ByuN unleashes the solar flare of scans, which feels like trolling. And, you know, I feel it serves a dual purpose of both scouting your opponent and suggesting that they get out of the game. If you get scanned more times than a Costco checkout aisle at prime time, which is like 3 or 4 p.m. on a Friday, if you know, you know. Go on like Tuesday morning, maybe Thursday. But I digress. ByuN getting more value out of his units than a Costco hot dog. And Costco, please sponsor me. They don't sponsor anyone. That's part of why we love them. Well, the Vikings wandering around in Hero. Sometimes it looks like Hero's having a stroke of genius. Sometimes halfway that. The liberators will constantly pepper the probes. Pepper probes. The new short by Carbon Enemy. Watch probes get murdered by Oh, that's not very family friendly. Neither are probes, to be fair. Alright. This is... So, there's almost no anti-air left. This is just bullying now. Hero, it feels like has been in a death animation for like 7 minutes. But there's still a shield battery depowered over here. ByuN's gonna make that more permanent. Shh, there are 10 planetary fortresses! For a few more moments. The Liberator just killing off all these probes. Hero knocks it back down to 9. 19 ghosts, 15 Vikings, 10 Liberators. This is a peak Terran. You may not like it. You may not like it. But you should like and subscribe. Sniping the Zealots, EMPing everything else. A few SCVs called in. Yeah, technically you can snipe Zealots. It's just usually not necessary or a strong option. Hero, not one to tap out easily. Alright, I'm sure he knows. Well, a while ago, I'm pretty sure he resigned himself to a less than stellar outcome to this game. But ByuN powered through and... Oh my, 35 to 65,000. That is just gratuitous disregard for the lives of his units. GG! 140 zealots, 15 observers, 73 stalkers, 11 colossi, 8 nexi, and 1 game. That game looking more one-sided than a Mobius strip. I would say by the end, but past like the 5-minute mark, it seemed like the trajectory was clear. Now the outcome, not so much. It still could have at any point before, especially before ByuN got to his near double-digit planetaries, I think that battering ram style of Protoss can work. But very simply, especially on a map like that, where it seems designed for Liberators to effectively break the entire meta. And not like an exaggerated clickbait title, but a more accurate one. I think you not only want, but you need the Sky Toss. Not like 4 Tempests because, fine! But like 8 or 9 Tempests. So enough to easily one-shot Liberators and Vikings and Ghosts. Now, is it easier said than done? Not for the Protoss. They don't have mouths. But for me, of course. So, ByuN. Thank you. With a decisive and kind of lopsided victory by the end of game 1. Hero never really finding any sort of traction, though it was amusing to see ByuN set up the full campaign mission Terran. And yeah, you know what, YouTube commenter? Whoever said, why don't they make Planetary Fortress? And I think it was specifically about mass planetary, like not just like 1 or 2 near a base, but just all over the place. It's kind of a good question. Like, it's not even the potential damage output, it's the lack of supply and doing things like mitigating charge lots. One of the most effective ways to pick apart a Terran without playing that super technical style is just send the charge lots, or DTs, sometimes mass DT, off to one angle and then hit them on the other. Hero never really found an opportunity to do that before ByuN had multiple planetaries, which severely reduces the chances of 10 or 20 charge lots or even Dark Templar. And if they use Dark Templar to kill your planetaries, those are expensive. 1 Dark Templar is nearly the cost of a planetary fortress. I mean, on top of the command center, obviously, but if you have it. Also, I might point out that the last match, I believe, before this tournament, Hero defeated Maru, who many might argue is better than ByuN. I mean, statistically nowadays. But ByuN has also played Hero many more times than Maru, and I'm not actually sure. Jimmy will have the stats, or he already does. We already saw him, I'm sure, but ByuN may very well have beaten Hero more times than the reverse throughout their careers. Honestly, for most of their careers, ByuN has been a higher ranked player. But Hero, he'll never give up. He'll never surrender. And it's his indescribable style that almost too flexible Protoss that I think is lending him continued success. Whereas ByuN has played pretty much the same band of Terran for 16 years now. So it's been very effective that whole time and still is. But the physical requirement in terms of micro and the predictability, I think, mean that ByuN is not quite as successful nowadays. Though, you know, beating Hero at all certainly helps. Concussive shells first. The knee breaker opener. Trying to catch Hero out, but even the Adept was able to get away. Yeah, I saw it. The game was going on. Eventually, it's going to be Marines. It's going to be Marauders. It's going to be a bunch of dudes with drugs and guns talking about how all these aliens are all up in our business, taking our mineral patches. And it reminds me of home. But their solution to the problem is maybe not ideal. We'll see if they can execute on it, though. Factories on the way. Ye old mass barracks into medevacs. Not bothering with cyclones. Not fiddling around with reapers. Just straight up Marines and Marauders. One Marine gets hunted down. ByuN knows the hallucinated Phoenix is there. Is he actually going out? Blink is not done. Oh, he's got the stivs! The stalker becomes the stalked. And 12 seconds before blink, 2 of them are chased down. Make that 3. Is there a shield battery? Not for you. He stims again. He's chasing, just trying to blast through the shield battery, blinks away. And Hero should be able to chase this down. Tries to turn the corner. Oh, just in time. A sentry saw its life flash before its eyes, or maybe that was just its attack. It's kind of unclear. Now ByuN gonna be chilling on the high ground. Doesn't hit the stims. Judging, it'll just bring it too close to death instead of helping kill. A single bunker. The ByuNker acknowledging. Hero in position to potentially intercept a drop. The starport. A hallucinated Phoenix is sent out from that sentry who lived. As Hero does not have the robotics facility done yet. It's about to complete, but it ain't there yet. Hero. I try to poke into the main. Didn't see anything yet. Well, he saw the starport timing. He saw plenty. I don't know why I said that. I was just kind of autopilot caster things. But no, he saw everything he needed to see, just not the totality of the main. Knowing the starport timing is the most relevant by far. What is this? ByuN is walking out. The stalkers. Where did the Marines go? Is he gonna recall back? Charge is not done. ByuN is committing. There's the recall. Hero recognizes the danger, and the recall is perfectly timed. He spots the army. Guardian shield targets the sentry immediately, knowing how dangerous it is. The shield battery helping. Charge lots here. Medevac's coming across. Reinforcements for either side. The Immortal joins the fray. And the Stalkers blinking back that Immortal in a precarious position, but another sentry is warped in, and the force field wards away. The Medevacs haven't really even had any time to heal. But the threat of them will keep Hero from chasing directly. He works off to the right side. 58 probes against 50 SCVs. ByuN is building a third base on location. Hero hasn't spotted it yet. A single probe spotting for any medevac sneaking out, but there's still more than enough bio to be deadly. +1 attack, stims a few units. A single marauder could easily break the knees of some of the stalkers, but Hero blinking back one at a time. Very slick blink micro. But Hero not willing to give this up easily. That high ground.
Ready for dust off.
Hero doesn't have the vision. He actually loses a stalker trying to challenge it. There's a couple Widow Mines joined in as Zealot gets taken out and ByuN stims forward. Feeling confident, he's got 1-1. There are no Colossi. One's about to pop out. Couple more Zealots shaved away. That Colossus is everything right now. He desperately needs it to deal with this. Gonna try to drag the Widow Mines into the Terran army. Force fields, but it's unclear who they're helping more. Colossus rather, still forcing ByuN the micro back, but I think he took a slightly better end of the trade. The Stalkers blink forward again. Targets another Widow Mine. And yet another, that one. Oh no, blinks forward. Eats one on the Stalkers, and overall, ByuN, Hero destroys 23 Marines, 5 Marauders, 4 Mines. Against 16 Zealots, 5 Stalkers, and technically 2 Marines, probably from the Widow Mines for ByuN. So, definitely not a terrible fight for the Terran. But now Hero's knocking on his door. He doesn't seem like someone you want to just turn away. 4th base for Hero. ByuN is up to 65 workers, whereas Hero languishing at 64. It is notable, though, because ByuN expanded to that 3rd so much later. Hero was not building probes for quite a while as he forced as many units out as possible, just enough to hold the charge lots around the north side. A few Chew Toy depots trying to distract them, but Hero with the move command makes sure that he drags the army out of position. Charge lots from the north, allows him to come into the south, eats a couple of the mine hits, hallucinates probes to draw out the Widow Mines, is successful. Clever girl. Another is easily shaved away. The EMP off the mark. And the first ghosts are here, by the way. Vikings being added in. Hero. A knife's edge here. But still unable to cut through. ByuN doesn't even have an armory. He's just building mass Viking and adding some ghosts into the fray, which means Hero now will have an upgrade advantage of swords. +2 attack is done. He just started +3, +1. So it's 1-1 versus +2. The scouting factory could be taken out. Likely will. So no more starports for a while yet. The factory at this point, he has no intent of building any more factory units, so it's usually sent out as a scout, but ideally you don't lose it. So that might be annoying later. He started the armory, I think, as the factory was dying, because it is required for it. Possibly acknowledging he really doesn't want to rebuild that if he doesn't have to. But here we go. Another tense standoff. But ByuN has been strongly holding the high ground yet again. And Hero unable to break it. Adding 3 more gates, those double upgrades, Spylons across the board. All across the map. He knows the map is dark and full of Terrans. But the Vikings come into the light. Will knock down a Colossus. There's not that many Stalkers here. Just kiting back. The Stalkers targeting Marauders. He's not even bothering to try to protect the Colossi. More charge slots coming up. The reinforcements, will they be enough to turn the tides for Hero? The Vikings hit the deck, covering for the bile, knowing the Colossi are no longer the major threat, and Hero drops down 20 supply. He added a few more gates, but I don't know if the production is there to refill in time, as this is a quite clear-cut battle, and ByuN is throwing more weight around. And Hero, I don't think, is calling your mother. It would help, though. Colossus. Another one and a second robo being added on. The Vikings. EMP hits most of the Zealots and several of the sentries. Gets a Guardian Shield before, sniping off some of the ghosts. Hero able to refill quickly as he has 5 Nexi. Vikings hit the ground, but not exactly sure why. You can fly. I'm afraid of heights. What? The Colossus just offering itself up to the Vikings here. Now this is a single Viking volley doing terrible, terrible damage. Those Colossi are surprisingly fragile. There's the fusion core. As ByuN has successfully acquired his 4th base. Couple Stalkers will drop down. The Vikings just completely annihilate them. They even have extra damage on the ground against mechanical. Quite convenient against Stalkers and Immortals. Technically against Colossi, though it's not their ideal. Hero. He's, seems to be willing. A scan for observers. Seems to be willing to let ByuN sit back. But he's not adding on much more tech of his own. He's got +2 armor on the way. +1 shields. A couple more Nexi. Another Robo. But notably no Stargate and no Templar of any variety. No Dark Templar for the big blinks. No High Templar for the mixed storms. But every base, pretty much. And he has a proxy gate to warp in more quickly with the super pylon. An entire legion of zealots. Where are you going, Hero? Well, wherever he can to try to keep ByuN busy. He sent every single zealot, which means he's so reliant on the force fields, but the EMPs hit first. Oh no. A bit of a disjointed engagement as Hero comes in with another swath of charge lots. There's so many of them. The fluid dynamics of charge lots are not exactly ideal. Once you get well into double digits, they start tripping over each other to attack in their enthusiasm. Hey, Billy! My wife for hire! What is it, son? Does she charge a lot? I don't... I'm calling HR. Does it count if they're not human? Meanwhile, charge lots and stalkers down the center. The Colossus helping. He's got a gate so close to all this, and Hero kind of brawling on either side. He will be able to take out the army attacking the top right corner, a single Colossus. Double Warp Prism, as Hero will try to zerg the base in pretty much the literal sense. Throw as many units as possible and rebuild them before the Terran opponent can do anything about it. Well, if the pylon's taken out, I guess you can build a command center there. Hero has 13 gates, 3 robos. Only 72 probes, which means ByuN is about even on income. At least will be for a little while longer. Some very optimistic stalkers coming around as the Venn diagram of freedom once again encircles this entire area. A few zealots to the left side, a bit more to the right. The warp prism stuck in the middle with you. The missile turrets, and here we go. Disruptors. Disruptors. We're gonna throw in a unit we haven't yet seen throughout these exchanges. I think we've seen almost every single Protoss unit. Though surprisingly, no Oracle last game. The Zealots are warped into the main base, but honestly, I'd be surprised if they get more than a couple kills. Drags back some of the army. Hero once again, but the Liberators are looking every which way and keeping Hero zoned out of this base. 3/3 infantry weapons and armor about to complete, and Hero's upgrade lead is about to evaporate. Once that's done, ByuN should be able to go toe-to-toe with the Stalkers and charge lots, even on the open field. You need the splash damage. He keeps blinking one Stalker over. Repair the sensor tower. Maybe not. It burns. Though ByuN. 3 orbital commands, so not an overwhelming number. There's still a Liberator in that corner. That Hero can't really engage. Looks like wasn't quite perfectly placed, and the Stalkers are able to close in on it. Hero's at 94 probes. He's decided, I'd rather have problems than Terrans. He's going full Zerg. Though, may want to build a few more gateways as ByuN, again, high-sec auto-tracking, mass command center, building armor. The supreme extreme late game. The Porcupine Terran. You touch them, and their quills will shoot out and stab you through the eyes. That's how porcupines work. Look it up. Read a book. Like and subscribe for my book series on how to sound condescending to people for $500 a month. Well, EMPs, Disruptor Shot comes around and mildly inconveniences some of the Marauders. Now a few Marines caught, but it looks like the Terran army is doing more flanking than the Protoss. A few Disruptor Shots with fadeaway blasts, but they're all on cooldown quite conspicuously. And ByuN will be able to snipe them off, and another Disruptor wanders too close and gets absolutely nothing. Hero getting gunned down by the dozen. He still has a massive income lead. He still has 96 probes. He still somehow has the top right base, as ByuN is yet again confirming. We got more orbital commands. Is he gonna make this a planet? No, he's decided. Both sides vying for the 9 o'clock position. The probe gets there first, but can they hold it? Charge Lot Sentry Disruptor is quite a... Well, all these units have a tough working relationship with one another. The Liberators will continue to encroach. Fires off a volley of Disruptor shots. Maybe regrets that decision. And the Liberators... Well. Hero once again. At 200 supply. Somehow. He's had 200 supply, but it's never looked so sad. His army is 30 charge lots, 13 stalkers, 3 raptors with a couple more on the way. ByuN has just... he's given some ground, but not nearly enough to keep Hero... well, to let Hero find an angle to attack. And ByuN manages to double back and outmaneuver. Hero spotted him loading up. There's a recall over the right side. But ByuN, with the massive drop, is able to evade persecution. And again, Hero is... well... almost as distracted as me. 18 liberators. Sweet liberty. How do you stop this? You in what army? I'm not confident there is one out there. Hero, would you like some tea? Some liberty? ByuN dancing around the liberation zones. Hero is once again dead, and once again he refuses to acknowledge that. I don't think this is one of those Kim Kardashian comeback situations, but instead, a spiteful death animation. ByuN is broke, but he's far from broken. And it's not like Hero has the economy to fall back on. He has 52 probes, same worker count, and his next eye cannot fly, a major design flaw. Hero refuses to go Stargate, is unable to he's building a Templar archives, which seems like, well, it's sad. It's just sad. Okay, that's all it is. What? Almost kills his own Colossus, I believe. The panic is setting in. He's drowning under the weight of this much Terran. 60 Liberators. 32 Marauders. No shame from ByuN. As once again, he leans into the Liberators. And once again, Hero is unable to avoid the forceful liberate. At some point, you have to fight them directly. And if you fail, especially if you have a ground army, it is effectively impossible to ever regain momentum. Because the Liberators are just better. +3 ship weapons and +1. So Liberators with +2 attack, 2-shot Stalkers, 1-shot with EMP. Before that it's 3, and they fire kind of slowly, but the fact that they die in just 2 hits, and Archons have the range of a toddler throwing a softball, and all the anger that goes with it. Hero still is in the game. Technically, in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all your opponent's buildings. Didn't think that'd become relevant here, but here we are. The Liberator stabbing one after another. So technically, it doesn't have the vision. Need to scan,
Ready for dust off.
put on its reading glasses. What brand do you have, Grandpa? It is gonna go down the center. It's over. I closed my eyes. All right, I couldn't tell how bad it was. I got my guesses. Again, ByuN drags the game to the later stages, and again, upstages Hero within them. I think he's clearly... He acknowledges the phase of the game we're in and plays to it. Whereas Hero plays to his own too. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's incredible. But for every genius series where Hero looks like, I don't know, the Albert Einstein crossed with LeBron James of StarCraft. There's another series where that is not the case. It's not over. In fact, I've seen plenty of reverse sweeps. So you know what? I gotta reset. Those were, I will be honest. I pride myself in being honest when it's appropriate. That doesn't mean lie. It just means kind of choose what to say. Because obviously I don't want to be like, well, this is over. I'm not gonna be like the pros at Home Story Cup where looks like he lost one drone to the Reaper, and therefore he's going to lose the next 4 games. But at the pro level, so I do think the pros are like that. Because if everyone plays perfect, there is a 99% guaranteed outcome from a certain point. Okay, if everyone does what's the correct move. Now, you could have differing opinions on what the correct move is. But the simple fact is, even these pros, even Cyril and Maru, they are not even close to that 99%. Though it may seem like it. So, and Hero may be the least affected by that theoretical multiverse trajectory of StarCraft 2 strategies. But right now, it looks like we're coming to a B understanding. Hero will not break ByuN. Not in the late game. In fact, it hasn't looked very close. But maybe. Well, let's see. I wonder who restarted the trend. So Terrans have claimed for many months now, years, decades even, that playing against Protoss in the late game is impossible. Which is mischaracterizing it somewhat. What it really means is trying to play the like mass marine medevac style is impossible. You can't send out 4 medevacs one side and another army the other side like you can do against Zerg. Because the Protoss army will crush you. Very simply. You need Ghosts and Liberators. Or at least Vikings and Ghosts. Most of the time. So, what it really means is the best case scenario for the Terran is getting 4, ideally 5, but 4 bases, and turtling up. And then in the end game, not the late game, the end game, is when Terran becomes seemingly near unbeatable. A Terran who's well entrenched, with double-digit liberators, with enough scans to cover half the map, with planetary fortresses scattered throughout, with liberators annexing individual mineral patches and armies zoning out of entire bases. That is when we get to that unbelievably cost-effective composition. The thing is, a lot of Terrans don't like playing like that, which is fair. All right, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of watching it on a repeated basis. I feel like it's one of those that it would be fun if it wasn't every game. But, well, we'll see. Another hallucinated Phoenix. The Widow Mine drop just goes straight into the main. Now, Hero doesn't know for sure there are mines in there, but has his suspicions. The Widow Mine, retargeting, recalculating, just decides to sacrifice the probe. There could be more. There is. Drops the mine. Hero. The sacrifice. He can get a stalker. Oh, Prairie Dog Micro. But he's able to take out the mine. So, ByuN, you get nothing. Good day, sir. But the medevac is able to fly away, which is a good day for it. As getting out of there was the best case scenario once Hero was clearly prepared. Robo Bay halfway done. Charge just begun. The bunker comes together, and Hero, with a grudging respect for it, auto turret to knock out an observer, the Raven, harrying anything it can get. And honestly, getting an observer is quite a nice pickup early. And we got Stim and +1 in production. ByuN, once again, of course, leaning into the 3 racks. Maybe try to hit a timing, but having enough to deal with any early gateway pressure and set yourself up for a 3rd base. The auto turret in the main, gonna get a few probes. Ends up with 2 and forces the rest away. The Raven just kind of makes its way out. The Spylons will see it leave, but maybe the Stalkers can intercept it, but they'll have to be pulled off the front line. Medevac taking the scenic route out of the base. Hero already up to 60 probes. ByuN does not have a 3rd command center in production. Leaning heavily on, well, we pull the boys? As with no 3rd command center, you could still go quite a while without needing it, but you need to get some damage done. The Raven just going back and forth, but the Stalkers will eventually say nevermore. The Raven gets egg grab and pwned. Meanwhile, the army moves out. And what does Hero have on the ground? A single Colossus. The medevac in the back. Hero knows the army's moving out, but he still can't leave the medevac to go about its business. This Colossus, there was a Reaper wall, which means the Colossus can't quickly move. He's gonna hallucinate another one to the north side. Try to keep the 4th base intact, maybe. The Stim, the target fire. Does he not believe him? Wow. I think he realized it was hallucinated from the very start. Not even bothering the target. Oh, no! Hero! Now the real Colossus getting dangerously close. Shield's already down. Hero has lost about a 3rd of his army without even really the fight starting. The Widow Mine's buying a lot of time to potentially damage the Nexus. The drop in the back. Hero forced to warp in his main base, which means he's not going to be able to help out the front. But 2 Colossi are now enough to incinerate a swath of Marines and a few Marauders and hold at a very important time. ByuN, throughout all this, a 3rd command center was constructing, and in fact, relatively conservative from ByuN, Not building it on location, but instead, that is natural. There's Warp Prism Speed on the way. Extended Thermal Lance is already done. There's a single Whittle Mine as a remainder. Barracks 4 and 5 are coming together, but Hero, with a 4th Nexus, with multiple Colossi, has a real opportunity now to potentially deny the 3rd and force a fight that leads to the game. He's got a 20 supply lead. Ghost Academy on the way. A few Vikings and 4 more in production. The probe is spotting to the north side. Warp Prism Speed is done, making it an even greater threat than usual. Rarely do we see Warp... Sometimes we don't see Warp Prism Speed at all, let alone this quickly. Not that it's not a good upgrade to have, but going to force the army to chase it down, and Hero's going to hit the 3rd, which is relatively undefended. Just a few Vikings. The force field doesn't actually quite keep the SCVs in. Colossi step right over it, but here comes Hero. Just knocking down the bunker itself. And ByuN pushed up against the wall. Though the army coming out, EMP across absolutely everything. The Vikings knocking down the Colossi quite quickly. The Marines have been sliced out of the composition, but wait a second. Well, the Vikings hit the deck. The Immortal trying to do some work here. More Stalkers coming up, but ByuN wipes out the Colossi, and the Bio easily able to tear through everything else. A Whittle Mine, micros away. And Hero had no upgrades. Possibly why the Marauders and the Vikings were able to contest the Stalkers, but he's only now getting +1 attack, and his Forge is in quite a precarious position at the 3rd. Meanwhile, ByuN, he lost a lot of SCVs. He's down to 55. He lost most of the Marines, many of the Ghosts, and now some of the Vikings as he fights on the ground. The Vikings quite good against the Stalkers, as are the Marauders. The Marines are no slouches themselves, and Hero again is driven back. If he's able to pick off enough of the Vikings, the Colossi become quite a threat again, and the medevacs are nearly out of energy. Hero relying on the constant stims to continue to get damage done, but it's a 2-upgrade advantage for ByuN. Another Colossus stepping up. Hero clearly doesn't want to let ByuN breathe for even a moment. But he's got to be careful of getting drowned in Bio himself. Hero is very close to making another critical mistake. I can feel it! He doesn't have enough to fight this, though he may try. ByuN has not flinched in the face of danger. A lot of the times, Hero's attacks get Terrans to panic. And he uses that in order to force them into a position they need to panic. But ByuN keeps going forward, even if he might think about going back. And Hero is not getting the damage done nearly as quickly as he needs to. The SCVs just happily mining while there's a literal war going on in their midst. But ByuN is chasing down the Stalkers. The sentries aren't very quick either, especially after the concussive shell pops another one. The medevacs overtaxed, underpaid, but still helping support this push. What happened to that one Colossus? Oh no. He split it off, but now he's sending it back, and it might die unceremoniously. He recalls it. 2 HP. Which is better than 0, though not by much. It actually went to the main base. The Forge is vulnerable here. He depowers it, at the very least. But the Bio Ball getting chased down. The charge lots filling in the gaps, but the EMP washes over most of them. ByuN with a 20 army supply lead. Hero technically has 12 gates, but a few depowered, and so is his +1 armor. No more upgrades on the way for ByuN. The aggression will continue for both sides. Neither of them in a position to pull back. Blinks forward, 3 Colossi. The Vikings dancing back behind the Marines and Marauders. The Stalkers already used their blink. Knocks down 1, gets the 2nd. And Disruptors being added in. The Colossi Stalkers stutter stepping against the Vikings. Actually picking off most of them. Only 1 Colossus remains. Hero down to 128 against 160 supply. And ByuN, one good stim away from a clean sweep. If there was ever going to be a clean sweep between these two, I really didn't expect it to be this direction, but Hero seems unable to turn this around. Another disruptor's popped, fires off a shot, obliterates his own probes, which I feel is quite a demonstration of the state of the game and the state of the series right now, as ByuN, his unit's at half HP, but Heroes do not have enough between them. There's another robo to the north, but he takes out the third base. He now has the worker lead. Neither side with upgrades in production, just pumping out what units they can. And there's simply not enough. Has to dodge away from his own disruptor shots, the bio army around the corner. A Liberator over the top. Comes up completely empty with the Ruptor. One Marauder without enough HP to stim will be clipped in the knees, but I don't know if Hero can close this out. At least in any successful fashion. Charge lock counter. ByuN with almost no reinforcements in position. Well, this is everything the main base orbital command. Okay, wait a second. I didn't have faith. 4 disruptors. This is one of 3 orbital commands. Just throws off a curveball, fires off the rest of the volley, and then the Terran army collapses from both sides. With no more disruptors, he's just stutter stepping his way through. Charge lots are doing a lot of damage. Not nearly enough. He chases them down, knocks out a Liberator on the way out. And Hero will survive to fight another day. The Vikings? Excuse me? Marauders just chasing down the Zealots. Liberator. Gonna cover the base. The Zealots have to dodge away. Disruptors around the corner. Disruptor is very hard to make work on the open field. And right now, looking unemployed. Not a super pylon for these stalkers. He will recall onto the base, but with what? A few more stalkers. Disruptors coming up. The Vikings on the ground, absorbing a lot of the charges. Lifts up the Vikings and dodges the Ruptor shots, despite the heavy losses. More probes dead. A few more on the high ground. Why not? Gets a few freebies. And Hero refuses to tap out, but he's running out of options to justify that. As ByuN continues hitting the stims. That disruptor shot takes a chunk. But depowers the robotics facility. The stalkers have been holding for quite a while. The disruptors will recharge. Hero's still down 50 supply. Snipes off 1 medevac, but it's everything underneath that's still the major issue. Hero is chased down. Another wave of charge lots. It's not going to be enough. GG. ByuN. 3. Hero. 0. Well, Hero not finding that edge today. Just continually trying to break mass planetary, mass liberator. But ByuN had all his angles covered. Really using that bleeding edge Terran, which I'm sure plenty of people have mixed feelings about. But ByuN looking like the better player today. And another defeat of Hero added on to his very long career. I'm just unable to measure up. Congratulations, ByuN. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. And hopefully it made your day at least a little bit better. Thank you for watching. If you got the means of motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership, but your liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Thank you to our Mule Tier patrons helping out. Big Jiggy, Devin, Door, Kate, Mario Suit, and everyone. Glad you still enjoyed. Make sure to check out this video that Jimmy picked out just for you. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill.